Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Baker. I'm the technology librarian here at Bemis. And today we're going to talk about Gmail. So Gmail is a free email site owned by Google. You might hear it referenced as a G Suite account online, and that's because with the account, you have access to the other Google services, such as Drive. Today, we're only going to focus on Gmail, but our website does have handouts and information about some other aspects of Google that you can access. With your Gmail account, you get 15 gigabytes of storage. You can receive emails up to 50 megabytes in size and send emails up to 25 megabytes in size. Gmail makes it really easy to search your inbox and see the most important messages first, which is one of my favorite parts of the account. So Gmail's free, but you do have to create an account in order to use it. So you can start by going to gmail.com, and it's going to bring you to this sign-in page, but down at the bottom, we're able to create an account. You get two choices for yourself or for your business. We're going to choose for myself, and then you have to input your information. So if you're planning on using this email address for things like job applications or other professional or business-like activities, try using a combination of your first, middle, last names or the letters of those. So if we do Bemis Training, in theory, I would do Bemis Training as my address. The username has to be unique to you. So Google knows what emails to send your direction. So you can think of it as a street address, and how your street address is totally different than anybody else's. Gmail will let you know whether or not your this account has been taken. The next thing you want to do is create and then confirm your password. It needs to be at least 8 characters with a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. And when you're creating a password, you want to make sure that it's totally separate from any other password you've created. You don't want it to be used the same one you use for social media, and definitely not the same one you use for online banking. Keep your email password separate. When you click next, it tells you if your username was taken or not. And then it gives you some suggestions of ways you can make your account usable. Generally, what it suggests is adding a name or adding a number to the very end. You can just click right on it, or you can type it in and see if something different works for you. I'm going to sign in instead. Which brings me to my inbox. So I'm going to go over all the different parts of the inbox. So up at the very top of the page, we have our Search Mail tab. So Gmail makes it very easy to search your messages. All you have to do is type in the name of a person or something you might remember from the email, the name of an attachment, and it's going to pull up the results for that. Just below that, we have our inbox tabs. Gmail separates your messages into 3 different tabs. Primary are your main messages. These are messages from a sender that you always open. The sender is not using a mail delivery service, which makes them more likely to be an actual person rather than a business. And any messages that don't fit in the other tabs that you use. The next one we have is social, which shows you messages from social networks, media sharing sites, and other social websites. You can see here that I have messages from LinkedIn, Goodreads, and Instagram. Promotions are deals, offers, and marketing emails. So if you give Old Navy your email address and they send you any promotions, they show up in this promotions tab. We'll come back to primary here. So along this left-hand side, you can see all the different folders in your account. When you have one selected, it changes the font to bold and it outlines it. So you can tell when your inbox is selected because it's in red. If you have new messages, they would appear here with the number of new messages that you have. To log out, you're going to come to this top right corner, click on the first initial of the name you included, and then you're going to say sign out. There's also your settings here, which is also how you can get to the help function. Gmail has a really great learning database, so you can find answers to basically any question that you have in this help area. To make a new message, all you have to do is click on compose. Here we have a normal email format. 2 is at the top, but then we also have the ability to add a carbon copy or a blind carbon copy. BCC lets you send messages to people without showing anybody else the message has been sent to them. So when I sent out an email for this class, I sent it to everybody who was registered, but I BCC'd everybody. So when it arrived, it looks like it's only to you. To add one of those, you just have to click on it and then you can add them. Then you have your subject line, which is a quick few word synopsis of what the email contains. You have the body of your message takes up the bulk of the screen here. Down along the bottom, you can change your font, text size, and lots more. If you don't see this, click on the A because that brings up your formatting options. Next, we have the ability to add an attachment. We'll look at that a little more in a second. You can insert a hyperlink to direct somebody to a specific website, insert emojis, attach something from your Google Drive. You can also insert a photo in line. So if you're adding photos with the Paperclip, the recipient will be able to see the pictures as an attachment. They're going to have to download them to their computer in order to actually view them. Whereas if you send something in line, it actually shows up within the body of your email. Turn confidential mode on, insert a signature, and then also send and request money. This is something I never recommend doing through Gmail or any social media site. There's a couple more options if you click on the 3 dots, including this spell check function. When you're doing a draft email, Google is automatically saving it. So if you decide you don't need to send that message, make sure you click on this trash can icon because that deletes the draft, and then your drafts folder over here on this left-hand side isn't filled up with half-written or empty messages. And then the blue button is your send button. So when you click on send, it sends automatically, almost instantaneously. There's no undoing it, so make sure you've spell checked, read through, done everything you need to do before you click send. You do have the option, however, if you click on this down arrow, to schedule your send. So if you're like me and you wake up at 3 a.m. and you just have to send that email so that way you can get it off your mind and go back to sleep, you can schedule send so that way it sends at a more normal time, like 8 or 9 a.m. instead of 3. So it lets you send your email in the future without you having to remember to go on and click send or compose it. So again, I got to that by clicking on this down button here. Since I already have the new message screen open, we're going to go ahead and send a message. So in the to field, I'm just going to put in Bemis training. You can send emails to yourself. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to put practice email for my subject. And then same thing for the body. We're going to look at adding an attachment now as well. So an attachment can be many different file types. It can be a document, a PDF, an image, pretty much anything. So when I click on attach, it's going to open the Finder window for your computer. This is what you're used to seeing with your File Explorer. If you're on an Apple, it's going to look a little bit different, but it'll be what you're used to on your Apple computer. You can either double click on a file, or you can hold down the control key on your keyboard to select multiple files and then click open, and it's going to add them all. While they're uploading, you'll see this blue progress bar. Once they have successfully uploaded, they will actually turn blue, and then you can click on it to make sure you've sent the correct attachment. If you need to remove an attachment, you can click on this little X next to it, and it gets rid of it. Once you're ready to send your email, you've reviewed it, you've done your spell check, you can just click on send. So like I said, it's almost instantaneous. It's already in my inbox. And there we go. So when you get a new email, your inbox button shows up with the number of new messages you have. So in this red, it says 1. You'll also notice that this email the background is white, and the font is bolded, and that's telling you this is an unread message in your inbox. This one has been read, so it's gray, and the font is just regular, not bolded. If you're not seeing a message that you're expecting to see in your inbox, you do have this little inbox refresh button. You can click on that and it reloads your inbox. And then if you had received a new message, you would see it there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. When you open an email, you have a lot of choices along the top of your screen. The first one is archive. This lets you remove the message from your inbox, but it doesn't delete it entirely. So you'll still have access to it. And we'll look at our archive a little bit later. You can also report a message as spam. So that way Google's filters get a little bit stronger and you're less likely to see messages like that in your inbox later on. The trash can icon straight deletes it. Once you've deleted something, you have 30 days to recover it. After that 30 days, the message is gone forever. You can mark it as unread. This will take you back to your inbox and bring it back to that unread view. The same way you could delay a send of a message, you can snooze the receiving of a message. So if I click on this snooze button, I can choose when I'm going to receive this email. So if it's something that is important information, but it's not important until 2 Thursdays from now, I can choose 2 Thursdays from now to receive it at 8 a.m. and then snooze it. And what that does is it removes it from your inbox, and on Thursday the 18th at 8 a.m., it will show up back in my inbox. It's not gone forever once you've snoozed it. Once you have a snoozed email, you'll see snoozed along this left-hand side. Click on that, there's your email, and if you need to, you can unsnooze. Google also has a thing called tasks. So it's kind of like a to-do list, a virtual to-do list. If your email has some action items that you need to complete, you can add it to tasks. These 2 symbols are for moving it to a different label or creating a label. And we're gonna look at that a little bit later. The parts of the email itself, along the top here, you're gonna see the subject, and then whatever location it's in. So if it's in your inbox or if it's in a different label, we'll see that here. You can see who it's from and who it's to. If it was to multiple people, you would see that here. You can click on the down arrow to see more information about who it was sent to and from. This paperclip is telling you there is an attachment, what time it was sent, 2 minutes ago. It may say 2 days ago, or it may have just a specific date. The star lets you star it as important, and then you can see all of your starred emails in a very specific inbox. You can reply, or there's a bunch more options under the 3 dots. One thing I do like to point out is this print icon. And what this does is it opens your email so that way you can print just the email itself instead of printing this whole inbox page. All right, let's see. So when you want to respond to an email, you've got lots of options. You can click on this reply button here. You can click on these three dots, reply or forward, or down along the bottom. I find that the bottom is usually the easiest. But one thing to look out for is if this email was sent to multiple people, your default might be to reply all, in which case you would want to choose specifically reply instead of replying to everybody the email was sent to. But whatever you're doing, go ahead and click on that button. It opens up a box where you can respond to the email. It looks almost exactly like your Compose new email, new message box. Type it out, click send, and you're good to go. Gmail threads your messages. So if I respond to this one, it's going to show up below. So I can actually see the entire thread of the email conversation just by clicking on one email from my inbox. When you click on that, it'll minimize your other ones. Just click on that and it expands it so you can see the whole email. So when you receive an email that has an attachment, you'll want to either download or view that attachment depending on what it is. So just to view an attachment, if you hover over it, you can click anywhere in this gray area and it opens up a preview. You can scroll through it. There you go. Clicking anywhere outside of that or on this back button gets out of it. But if I wanted to download the attachment, I would click on that down arrow. It's going to save to your computer. Mine opens automatically. So it saves to your computer in the downloads folder. So when you're finished with an email chain or you've gotten something you don't need, you can delete it. One of the cool things about Gmail is you can delete specific messages. So if I didn't need this response, but I did need this original email with the attachment, I can choose just to delete this message. So to delete an entire message, click on that trash can icon. It's all the way gone. To delete a specific message, click on the three dots of the message you want to delete. So I want to delete this practice response. So I'm going to click on these three dots. And then I choose delete this message. This email is still in my inbox, but the other message was moved to the trash. So the next thing we're going to talk about is labels. So labels are Gmail's version of folders. And the perk of having a label rather than a folder is that a message can have multiple labels, whereas with folders, a message can only live in one folder. So when you have your message open, you have these two choices here. If you already have labels set up, you can just choose move to and then choose what label it belongs under. Or you can create a new one. Gmail Basics. And then if I wanted to make it a subfolder, I can choose nest label under Gmail. And now I have a subfolder of Gmail called Gmail Basics. You can see along the top, it's now labeled as Gmail Basics, but it's still in my inbox. So if I wanted to move it to virtual tech classes, I can move it. All of your labels are along this left-hand side. If you don't see what you're looking for, click on this more button and you'll be able to see more choices. So then in this virtual tech classes lives these emails that I have labeled. You can remove a label by clicking on it, the X next to it, and then that gets rid of it, conversation removed. You can also change the color of your labels. So if you click on these three dots here and then label color, you can change the color of that. So this is an email that I have labeled virtual tech classes, but I haven't actually moved it anywhere. So it gives me a nice visual representation of what this email is about. So you can kind of use it to organize and make your inbox a little less cluttered. Let's look at our archive and our trash now. So I'm going to come over and click on more. All mail is where that archived mail ends up. So these are messages. These are from 2018, and then I have some for much more recently than that. If you have a smartphone and you have your Gmail account hooked up to the smartphone and you're deleting messages on your phone, they're likely coming into this archived all mail and not actually going into trash. That's just the default setting with Gmail. So you can change that through a complicated process, or you can just let it be. Trash, you have 30 days to restore a message. So if I needed to restore it, I'm going to click on this little checkbox to select it. Then I'm going to move it to my inbox. And then that removes it from the trash and then puts it back into my inbox there. The next thing that I want to look at is our settings. So we're going to click on settings. This general section lets you change and customize lots of different things. One thing I like to point out is this default reply behavior. It lets you choose whether you want to always reply or reply all. You can choose how you want to respond to a specific message, but this just changes that default. The other thing is that you can change your undo send. So once you send a message, you can set up to 30 seconds where you can change it. I usually set mine to 5 because if I notice something, I'm going to pretty much immediately notice that I've done something wrong. But if you need a little bit longer, you can do that. Default text style lets you change what your message font looks like. So this isn't how your inbox appears, it's how your messages show up to other people. So you can change your font size, what kind of font you're using, etc. The other thing is that you can set your signature here. So let's create a new signature, training, and then I can actually type it in here. And what this does is this will insert it to every message that I send. We'll have this signature here at the bottom. If I needed to edit or delete it, click on their respective buttons. The other thing is that we have this inbox folder up along the top. Here you can change what categories you add to your inbox tabs. So you have to have primary selected, but you can unselect social and promotions if you don't want them to separate into others, or you can add whatever ones you may need. And then you have your display density. Oh, that's not in this one. We'll get back to display density. The other thing I like to point out is themes. So you can choose if you wanted a color or you wanted a specific image to set your inbox to. You can do it that way. If you prefer white text on a black background, you can set it to dark. Display density, I clicked back on this settings gear, and then I'm going to choose display density. And this just lets you choose how your inbox appears. When you have it set to default, you see any attachments as previews in your actual inbox. If you choose comfortable or compact, you'll see a paperclip icon indicating there's an attachment, but you don't see a preview of that attachment. I do want to take a little bit of time to look at the search. So you can search for all kinds of different things. You can either type directly in, and so I just searched for practice, and then it pulled up any email that had the word practice in there. I can search for a specific person, so I can search for Bemis training, see what's come up. And then I can also narrow these down. So I can say, okay, I know I got an email from Bemis training with an attachment. Okay, so I can narrow that down. If you had multiple attachment types, you could choose that, et cetera, et cetera. You can also get to this advanced search by clicking on the down arrow and do all kinds of different searches. And it makes it really easy to find that email that has mysteriously disappeared from your inbox. The last thing I want to show is logging out. In this top right corner, we do have that B because the first name on this account is Bemis. When you click on that, click sign out, and then you're set. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much.